Alright, we got a John Deere 3039R tractor with a backhoe in because it will not go through Regen. So, gonna connect here. Speed of light. Come on. Yep, this is about normal speed. There we go, we got something. Alright, so what we got is a ECU 110, ECT, signal extremely high, stored 1 count. That will not prevent it from going into Regen. Then we have a 3695-0.14 exhaust filter cleaning inhibited by operator interface. ECU code stored 111 accounts. That's one main concern there. And then our 522-59609 no can message received from source 1 stored code. And then we'll just hop down here. ECT was at 230 degrees, 48% EGR valve, 15.8 milligrams of stroke. So the thing was probably 3/4 to full throttle. Yeah, pretty damn close to full throttle. Guy was working it hard, not a big deal. Alright, then our next one here. And that's not really going to tell us anything useful. This is just our freeze frame. In this code, this is where it gets interesting, so we can actually take you through here. Pop open a new page. So, 522-59609, no can message, so now they want me to go to a different manual. So we're going to go to our tech manual, and these tech manuals are actually available to the public as well. So we're going to go to our ECU codes right here, and 522. So what we have here: code, description from source address 1. ECU detected, did not receive a can message error from source address 1. So take that as you will. This gives you no source address or anything to look at. And they either have you go to CAN system, diagnosis, or programming control units. CAN system is good. I can run through that afterwards if I need to. Programming, sometimes. So let's go back and we'll look at where are we here? Diagnostics. So what's interesting with all this is, even though they're stored codes, we go to clear, refresh, of course, let's close that out. So what we run into on these from time to time is these codes will pop right back up as stored. So a couple quick ways to confirm the problem would be EGR. Let's close out of our ECU here. EGR position. And then we're going to go down to right here and here. And then just a couple other things we want to add in. Throttle position sensor. Take that out. That ICC. That's our instrument control cluster, or instrument cluster controller rather. Seat switch, park switch, and I mean, just because we're here, we'll do ECT there to prove there's not a fault with that system, and ECT right here, throw the voltage in. Alright, so basically, key on. Every time you key on, your exhaust filtering cleaning inhibit status should be on inhibited. Cleaning interlock status should be on inhibited, assuming your park brake is up, which it is. Your throttle is set all the way at 0, and let's see if we can get you here. This little light is not on. When this light's on, you are the operator inhibiting regen. So even if you leave this on as soon as you cycle the key, so key off, key on, self-check, and it goes off. And at that point, we should have defaulted back to on inhibited, but we did not. Just to prove the park brake switch is good, so it says seat switch, park brake switch. There's a value for each, so there we are, off seat, on seat, park brake off, park brake on. So there's no reason for that to be inhibited. Obviously we have some kind of network, we are communicating. Another quick way to tell is to watch your EGR valve position, actual versus desired. The EGR operates directly off of the ECU CAN network. ECU sends a message out to the EGR valve. If the EGR valve's moving, you know you've got CAN communication there, so bear with me on the noise here. Alright, it's not warm enough for it to go into EGR valve control. So, point is, this seems to be logic locked system. So we're going to go back to our codes, we'll refresh just to see if they pop back up yet. They have not. But what we're going to actually do is we're going to do a couple software updates here. You could theoretically disconnect the battery and let it sit for 15-20 minutes. Not really what I want to do. And we actually do have a new software update available for the control cluster anyway. Right here. So let's start with the ICC. So we're going to click there, checkbox. Go up to our actions, start reprogramming. I already had downloaded these. So yeah, I mean, they don't require us to put a battery maintainer or anything on these, and these updates are pretty fast generally. So it'll sit there, and it's going through. At this point, it's saving all the data within the ICC. feel free to fast forward here. We're just shooting this all at once to kind of run through and see if this doesn't clear out the logic lock on it. Generally these go quite a bit faster than that, so I mean, might be multiple software changes in here, so we'll see what happens. There we go. Beep, and we know it's just went through its self-test there, went to its beep mode, programming ICC completed, and then we'll get a message pop up here in a minute. There we are, ICC programming successful. Click OK. It's finalizing. Switch ignition off for 60 seconds before starting again. So we'll click OK. Now notice we just threw an ECU code, 279109. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. Generally it does take at least 30 seconds to a full minute. On any of these reprogramming events, you'll actually be able to turn it on, turn the key on and start the engine up and everything else before then, but you will not have communication with them. So wait a little bit longer here, give it a shot. So for those who are curious, we'll connect there, and while that's connecting, I mean, all we're using is our Service Advisor EDL, which goes to our J1939 port through this ridiculous USB here. Terrible update rate. It's painful, really. Almost there. Come on. So right there. So we still have that 522.59609, no CAN message received from source address 1. And then we have EGR valve communication error. Now, I was telling you guys the EGR valve is directly connected to the CAN network and controlled via the CAN network from the ECU. Now, source address 1, honestly, no clue what it means. I'll show you. So we have source address 3 for our powertrain hydrostatic computer here, and then our ICC, which we just reprogrammed, to source address 23. So we'll go back through here, and then our ECU is source address 0. So I have no controller with the source address 1 on this machine. So now the other thing, seeing as it was in the ECU, is it could be an actual source address, could be a parameter address within the ECU, in which case source 1 would be your ability to read and clear diagnostic trouble codes, which we clearly have. This is one of the reasons I think it's logic locked, so to say, or goofed up memory. So we're going to clear out of that. You have to be disconnected from Diagnostics in order to do a reprogramming event. So we're going to choose our engine here, action, start reprogramming, physical adapter here. And now notice it says Y ECU. That's because it's actually a Yanmar ECU, and boom, done. Boom, done next. Simple as that. That's how fast most of these reprogramming events are. Once again, switch ignition off. So give it a good 15 to 30 seconds here. Anything else fun and exciting on these? Yeah. operator interface here. So we already went over, we could inhibit Regen temporarily if we wanted to by clicking this button. Defaults to uninhibited every time the key's cycled. Right here, once your engine's up to operating temperature, you can actually press and hold this to go into a parked Regen. Transmission in either neutral or low range. 9 times out of 10 it's got to be in neutral. Throttle set all the way at 0, and you have to have at least a bit of soot in there. But press and hold this for 10 to 15 seconds and it will actually then go into a passive Regen, passive parked Regen, so to say. It's when I say passive parked, it's a combination between your passive regeneration that occurs during heavy load operation and your parked regeneration on a service level, say. It's kind of a weird hybrid between the two. Alright, so we got that cleared out, and I don't want to go through our powertrain controller at this point, mainly because I don't want to have to do the calibration here, and we're not having any issues with that. So let's go back to our diagnostics, click in, we got our key on, and the spinning wheel of death. So hopefully what we want to see here is we want to see those data parameters we had previously pulled up that were reading inhibited should now read uninhibited. That is its default mode unless there is operator interface that tells it to inhibit the ability to go into Regen. So there we are, throttle signal abnormal or missing data over CAN network, engine speed data, and these were both set in the PTH, the powertrain hydro controller. So all that's telling us is during the reprogramming event, the PTH was unable to communicate and get these parameters from the ECU. So we feel pretty comfortable with clearing those codes out. Notice how we didn't get our no CAN message, which may or may not come back. We're about to find out in a second. So what we can actually do here is go through, and so we want to look at, come on now, exhaust filter, and we're still under inhibited. So let's we have, shut that back off. What we have is an underlying cause in the CAN network here. So let's hop up here. Well, you can see that. We'll disconnect from here. Alright. Disconnect this. And then we'll go through and do some CAN data. So, scope multimeter, lab scope, 4-channel. Alright, let's bring this up, and I don't know if you can see that all that great. Let's bring a trigger down if we can. Come on now. So we'll change that to 20 volts real quick. come on. Why that does not want to trigger right now. There we go. I hate this tool sometimes. So we'll throw a trigger on there just so you guys can see. Let's see if I can get rid of some of this glare here. There you go. So there's our CAN data. I mean, they're good data packets. Not concerned about that in the least. So we've got good CAN communication, at least through the J1939 port. So we're gonna have to make a part 2 to this video once we get further into it. We'll end up back probing CAN network at the EGR valve, but really it has control of the EGR valve, so it shouldn't be doing that. And that means I'm gonna have to go through. This is our powertrain, our transmission controller here, and then right behind it, if you can just see the 3 connectors here behind this plate, you can see the corner of it there. That is our ECU. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research here and figure out which way we want to go. So hopefully later today, part 2.